Why doesn't somebody pull off 45 and bang, settle it? No guns.
Welcome to a new episode of Madam vs. Muse. I am Madam Ether, though for the mortals, occasionally I am Elena the Muse. Just want to hop into what exactly I'll be covering since, we almost got 25 minutes of footage, yay! But pretty much showing me doing work. I'm starting the cover of the Orange 91 anthology, which is a short story and illustration anthology that is a personal project that I want to release on January 18th, 2022, which will be my 33rd birthday. So plenty of the videos will be covering me working on this project. So let's hop into the details. First, let's cover the order of things. So I've divided the videos up into pretty much the segments of my process. So it's coming up with the sketches, dicking around with what I actually want to try and execute the best of my ability. So that's going to be about 2 rounds of me figuring out this pose and really trying to capture this character's spirit. Other than that, I like working traditional as much as I like working digitally. So in this instance, I'm working traditional, as you can tell, and I am taking this to watercolor. Not though I may or may not be that great at watercolor, but I do enjoy working with it. So my process typically is that I do the watercolor first and then I ink, but that's mainly from my background of working with inks that are non-water soluble. They can't handle the water. They can't say the heat. They can't handle the water. So I've gotten into the habit of inking last. I do that, I think, with every form medium, even when I do digital, because sometimes I do get outside the lines and I don't know, it just feels right. And then maybe I can go back in with color, but that's pretty much what's going on there. So next segment, I'll get into the character. So before I get into what Orange 91 specifically is, it all started with this character. Her name is Shinten Matsume. No, she doesn't have her mom's last name. I gotta remember these details about my own characters. But anyway, Shinten Matsume is half black, half Japanese, and is a part of a Yakuza family. If you haven't put together if you haven't seen the 0 episode and already know my background, it's inspired by Kill Bill, and I definitely came up with this idea originally when I was 13 or 14 years old. But overall, Shinten has gone through a lot of changes, being influenced by Kill Bill. Originally, the Orange 91 story, which originally was called the Matsume Legacy, was meant to be a revenge story, and I revamped it multiple times. But as I got older, and it's cool when you're 13, 14, young adult doing the edgy shit, but when you get older and you get around people who just start losing hope in life and their ambitions, it makes you want to, at least for me, I just want to make happier characters and make happier stories, and I still want to have action and whatnot. But Shinten has just become a more light-hearted character, and even more so that I am 32 now. She's kind of grown with me, and I embody a lot of her, or I don't embody, I put my experiences in her and definitely want to represent that in the story. But as far as her actual character, Shinten is relatively spoiled, but also has her issues with her parents. Her father's Japanese, her mother is black, and she does have a younger brother who is adapting better to their very eclectic life than she is. She's a dancer, pretty laid back, gets in trouble for no real reason, and because she's also a dancer and has a rather rambunctious personality, she's also a fighter. So that's pretty much about Shinten, and I'll let you soak in me struggling to figure out these sketches, and I'll get into what Orange 91 overall is about in the next segment. So Orange 91. It is a specific story that does include Shinten and her family and all the characters of that, but the anthology is going to feature a variety of stories that are and aren't a part of the same, well, I say they're all a part of the same universe, but they're not necessarily interconnected, but then they also are. I have multiple stories focused in the present line or the present storyline of Orange 91, and they're just character-driven stories, so they focus on individual characters. And there are a lot in general, but particularly focusing on Shinten, focusing on her mother, focusing on her father, focusing on her grandparents. focusing on, well, her grandparents on her father's side, focusing on her family on her mother's side. And then we go way into the past and into the Meiji era, where we kind of get into Shinten's ancestor from way back when, and then going into other stories where I have a music producer who's struggling and she gets a break. And then I got other off-planet stories of different races where humans or human-like species is the lowest common denominator and another species runs the planet. But yeah, that tapping into that little story. But yeah, as it is an anthology, it's full of short stories which give you a taste of each of these characters and their different worlds, their situations and their relationships, and how they end up growing and changing or seeing things differently, and maybe they don't change at all, which is always a sad thing to see. But as for the short stories or the illustrations that will be included in the short stories, because my long-term goal is to be an animation director and to also improve my skills and my eye for cinematography, the illustrations will, I like to say that they're cinematic illustrations. They kind of will have a keyframe animation feel to them. Not so much with the cover, as you can see. With the cover, that I want to encapsulate just my skills up until this point, the skills that I do get back and develop as I continue working on the cover. So it is something that I'll be revisiting every month, because I just want to combine all the different styles that I like working in and make that the cover, because I believe that's a great representation of what I'm about and what my stories are about, and just the reality of what it means to interact with the Madam vs. Muse brand. Ooh, brands. But that pretty much covers the short story anthology as well as the main story. And I don't think I have much else to talk about. Well, maybe in the next segment. Next segment I'll talk about my process. Like more in depth of what my thought process was throughout this whole process. So the drawing section took the longest. I'm pretty much just feeling things out. I wanted to get some practice in to see if I could do something impressive for the channel, but I can only work with what I'm doing right now. I ain't been drawing every day, so dims the breaks. But as far as my thinking in the whole process, I am trying to finish the smaller sketchbook, or I'm pretty much almost done with the smaller sketchbook that I did the initial sketches in. And like I said, because I want to represent more of a happier characters, happier stories, and you know, the world at this point in time in 2021 has gone to shit. And everybody's losing their minds, and I'm just like, I think I'm gonna do something happy. So I was just trying to capture a pose that I felt represented Shinten's freedom and just how carefree and potentially rambunctious and spontaneous she can be. And I just wanted to embody that, not just in her face, but in a gesture that captures her, even if it's very strange or I didn't pull it off with the figure that I was referencing along with the image that I referenced, or the image that had inspired the idea and the pose. But other than that, my main method has been for the lines, like I said, lots of referencing, getting inspiration from certain poses, having a certain idea in mind of what emotion I wanted to capture. But other than that, I'm pretty much just free balling out here because I work in marketing and I do all this other stuff that's not really drawing, and I'm tired of the perfectionist, blah, 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 all the baggage that I'd carried about with art in my 20s and just most of my life, really. So I kind of just said, fuck it. And I'm going to do this to the best of my ability and just play around. And that's what I did. Shinten's outfit, because of the name Orange 91, she wears orange a lot. So she's pretty much the poster character of what Orange 91 means. The 91 comes from, in Japanese, 9 is ku and 1 is ichi, so it's kunoichi, like a female ninja, because that's what Shinten originally was. But yeah, that's the process. Into the tools that I use, wow, let me look at this. I am using, I don't believe there's anything special about the watercolors I'm using, so I'm not even gonna press about the name. I know I have another pack by Koi watercolors I bought eons ago, and I'm using a water brush. So pretty much you fill the brush with water and you squeeze it. You can squeeze too hard and get water all over your page, so that's very much a possibility. But other than that, I use a standard edition pencil that my mom got for me when she went to Japan. It's a zebra pencil, Tepley clip. It's not going to change anything for you. The only other thing is, if you care about the lead, it's 0.5 millimeters. I typically do 0.7, or I use just a colored or coal erase pencil, but I figured why not with the graphite. And as you'll see in the next section, I am using a, what is it, uni pen. Yeah, I'm reading it right now. A uni pen. Oh, it's waterproof and fade proof. Pigment ink. It's another Japanese pen. I may have bought it from Jet Pens, or I feel like I bought it from Jet Pens. If not, I may have gotten it from an art store. But I think that's it for the tools that matter. As for the figures that I have, I bought those like between 3 and 5 years ago off of eBay. I don't even remember the brand for real. But yeah, details about the tools. And that's it for me for this section.